Hello, what's going on, kids? This is the Scientific Mind with Sir Eman. And for today's episode, we are going to discuss the one of the most important organ system in the human body, the partner organ system of the circulatory system, which is the respiratory system. But before that, let's have our prayer first. What is the respiratory system? Does it only talk about breathing? Or is there something that only science can tell us? So let's dive into the respiratory system. Parts of the respiratory system. Parts of the respiratory system. The respiratory system is a network of organs and tissues that help you breathe. This system helps your body absorb oxygen from the air so your organs can work. It also cleans waste gases such as carbon dioxide from your blood. The respiratory system is a series of organs responsible for taking in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. The primary organs of the respiratory system are the lungs, which carry out this exchange of gases as we breathe. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are both important gases. Oxygen is needed for human respiration. Though carbon dioxide is toxic for humans, the plants need it to produce their food. So what are the parts of the respiratory system? And what could be the function of each part? The respiratory system is composed of the following parts: nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, lungs, bronchi and bronchioles, and the diaphragm. These parts were arranged in order how air enters our body. Let's begin our journey to the respiratory system with the nose. Air enters the body through the openings of the nose known as the nostrils. Nasal cavity is a hollow space within the nose and the skull. Nasal passage cleans and warms inhaled air. That's why it is better and advisable to breathe using nose than the mouth. There is also a special structure that can be found inside the nose. These special structures traps or filters other materials like dirt that will enter our body. This structure is known as the cilia. The next organ is the pharynx. Pharynx is involved in both digestion and respiration. It receives food and air from the mouth and air from the nasal cavity. When food enters the pharynx, involuntary muscle contractions close off the air passageway. That's why you can drink water and breathe at the same time. Because if you do that, you will get choked or else you will get drowned. The next stop after the pharynx is the larynx. Larynx is an organ that connects the lower part of the pharynx with a trachea. The larynx has three functions. First is that it serves as a valve to guard the air passage. Second is for the main
throat. From there, it passes through the larynx, or voice box, and enters the trachea. The trachea is a strong tube that contains rings of cartilage that prevent it from collapsing. Within the lungs, the trachea branches into a left and right bronchus. These further divide into smaller and smaller branches, called bronchioles. The smallest bronchioles end in tiny air sacs. These are called alveoli. They inflate when a person inhales and deflate when a person exhales. During gas exchange, oxygen moves from the lungs to the bloodstream. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes from the blood to the lungs. This happens in the lungs between the alveoli and a network of tiny blood vessels called capillaries, which are located in the walls of the alveoli. Here you see red blood cells traveling through the capillaries. The walls of the alveoli share a membrane with the capillaries. That's how close they are. This lets oxygen and carbon dioxide diffuse, or move freely, between the respiratory system and the bloodstream. Oxygen molecules attach to red blood cells, which travel back to the heart. At the same time, the carbon dioxide molecules in the alveoli are blown out of the body the next time a person exhales. Gas exchange allows the body to replenish the oxygen and eliminate the carbon dioxide. Doing both is necessary for survival.
There are 4 events of respiration. This includes pulmonary ventilation, external respiration, respiratory gas transport, and internal respiration. The first event of respiration is the pulmonary ventilation, also known as breathing. Pulmonary ventilation is a process of moving air into and out of the lungs to change and refresh gas in the lungs. This involves inspiration or inhalation, the flow of air into the lungs, and expiration or exhalation, the flow of air leaving lungs. The second event is the external respiration. It is a process of exchanging gas, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide between the blood and the alveoli. The third event of respiration is the respiratory gas transport. It is the transport of carbon dioxide and oxygen to and from the lungs and tissues of the body by way of the cardiovascular system, which uses blood as its transporting fluid. The fourth and the last event of respiration is the internal respiration, where the exchange of gas is made between the blood and the tissues of cells. In this episode, you learn about the respiratory system. Specifically, you learn that number 1, the organs of the respiratory system forms a continuous system of passages called the respiratory tract. 2. Breathing is the two-step process of drawing air into the lungs, also known as inhaling, and the letting the air out of the lungs, or exhaling. Breathing is one of the few vital bodily functions that can be controlled consciously as well as unconsciously. Conscious control of breathing is common in many activities, including swimming and singing. However, there are limits to the conscious control of breathing. If you try to hold your breath, for example, you will soon have an irrepressible urge to breathe. 3. Gas exchange is the biological process through which gases are transferred across cell membrane to either enter or leave the blood. Gas exchange takes place continuously between the blood and cells throughout the body, and also between the blood and the air inside the lungs. The respiratory system. Does the topic connect to our core values? Of course it is. Then to what core values it is connected? It is connected the most to accountability. Why? Respiration is a series of giving and taking. We give off carbon dioxide and take oxygen. Thus vice versa for the plants. They give off oxygen and take carbon dioxide. To keep this process ongoing, we should be responsible for our environment. We are accountable for what is happening to our environment. Whatever that will happen to us that are environment related, it is human that will be put to blame. Human should take care of our environment. Humans should be accountable for everything that they do. Okay, that ends our episode for today. This is The Scientific Mind with Sir Eman. I hope that you learned something and you enjoy watching. Bye bye kids!